everyone, what's up? So there's this thing I keep having to deal with lately, and I'm getting really tired of it, where I'll be speaking with someone and I begin to realize that that particular individual is tolerant of trans people, but that's as far as it goes, and I swear to God, it's like they want a fucking cookie for it. I'm talking about the kind of person who doesn't like being called cis because it forces them to see trans people as normal. And when I say normal, I don't mean acceptable or okay or their lifestyle is none of my business. When I say normal, I mean that I am literally just as normal as you. And no, you don't get to exempt yourself from this category of person by saying that you don't see me as trans, because that's absolute bullshit. The fact of the matter is that you do see me as transgender. You always will. But you know what? I am transgender, and so there's absolutely nothing fucking wrong with seeing that and acknowledging that about me. As a matter of fact, I prefer that you did, just as long as you can also still see me as equal to any and every other human being. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how much you want to bullshit me, I can tell very easily if you're this particular kind of person. Because if you saw me as a real woman, a normal woman, and furthermore as an amazing woman, which by the way, I am, the word cisgender wouldn't offend you. You'd understand that it's literally just something you are. There's no negative denotation or connotation, there's no hatred towards people just for being cis. There may be times when that word gets used in an angry generalization, but when that happens, I'm not angry at you for being cis, I'm not envious because of how you were born, and there's no innate quality to being cis, which I consider to be negative. Any anger that you may hear me express in a generalization like fuck cis people actually comes from how cis people have literally treated me all throughout my entire life. My anger comes from the fact that I've been erased, betrayed, beaten, slandered, assaulted, and left homeless by cis people just for being trans, and it's strengthened by the fact that they always manage to find a means to excuse themselves and pretend that they aren't transphobic by being tolerant and completely ignorant of their privilege. And because cis people are inherently incapable of understanding just how intricately the consequences of transphobia affect our lives, they can usually even find ways to pretend that our transness has nothing to do with the shitty way they choose to treat us. Because you don't have to live with being transgender, it's pretty much impossible for you to see through the web of cis-normativity to the details of every single fucking microaggression and stigma and institutionally ingrained prejudice we have to face from almost every single cis person we meet on a daily basis every day. And most cis people are like this, just unintentionally ignorant and tolerant, and there's just no talking to people like that. And no, I don't need you to remind me that there are good cis people. I fucking know there are good cis people. They're the ones who never feel the need to remind me of that because they actually give a shit about what other cis people have done to me and put me through. Now trust me, if I said something like fuck cis people, they'd get angry. But they wouldn't be angry at me for using a fucking word. They'd be much angrier about all the bullshit cis people have done to me and continue to do to me every day of my fucking life that makes me fucking angry enough to say something like that. And you know, every time you say not all cis people, you're pretty much just excusing every transphobic and appropriative thing every cis person has ever done, which has contributed to making so much of my life a living hell, just because they can't respect someone who's not cis the same way they respect someone who is. And you know, if you're more offended by my angry words than you are by the transphobic society that has made me so very rightfully fucking angry to begin with, all that shows me is that you're more offended by the idea that you should respect trans people on the same level that you respect cis people than you are by the idea that it's somehow not okay to treat us like we're even human beings. And if that sounds like you, guess what? I can't educate you, no matter how fucking calm and polite I try to be about it, and furthermore, it's not my job to. I have enough shit going on in my life without having to deal with your attempt to try to convince me that you're a good person by patronizing me with your tolerance and self-excusal. I don't want it. I don't want your tolerance or your guilt or your excuses. I want equality. I want respect. I want justice. I want you to be able to look at me, see me as trans, and make the necessary active decision to reject the transphobia society drilled into you from birth and accept that I am just as normal and worthy of respect as you. No one is more normal or beautiful than I am, or more valid or worthy of love and respect, or any better than me in any way, shape, or form just because they happen to be cis. If you're cis, you might personally be better at something than me, or prettier than me, or what the fuck ever, but if you are, it's not because you're cis. And if I'm better at something than you, more desired than you, prettier than you, whatever the fuck the case may be, the fact that I'm trans should not make you feel like I'm not allowed to be. I mean, fuck, what if I am prettier than you? Do you have any idea how many cis women have told me that to my face with shock, as though it were somehow beyond any stretch of their imagination that a trans person could be just as beautiful or even more beautiful than a cis person? But here's the biggest difference. If someone thinks I'm prettier than you and tells me so, I know it's not because I'm trans. But if you're cis and you feel the need to establish that you're apparently prettier than me, I can pretty much guarantee that to you it is needed because I am trans and society has convinced you that I'm apparently inherently ugly. Guess what? I'm not ugly. I'm fucking gorgeous. But if you found out that a straight man or a lesbian decided to date me, I know you'd have a fucking heart attack because I have a penis. But guess what? That fucking happens because, believe it or not, there are people who know that trans people are normal. And when I say that trans people are normal, I know, and you should know, that doesn't mean that cis people aren't normal. However, when a cis person feels the need to say that cis people are normal, it only serves as a means to affirm your true belief that I am strange, weird, abnormal, defective, lesser, fake, pretend, different. Believe it or not, cisgender people aren't the fucking default, and that can be so hard for people with privilege to understand, but seriously, just because you're more typical, that does not make you any more real or normal than those of us who aren't quite as common. I am a normal, real, biological woman. My brain is a part of my biology, and that, not my genitals, is the seat of who I am. The same is true for you. You don't have to define yourself by your genitals any more than I do because your genitals don't validate or invalidate your gender any more than mine do. They aren't who you are. They're part of the body you have to ride around in until you die, which when you do, I can guarantee you will never be because a trans person decided to murder you just for being cis, but when I die, there is a 1 in 12 chance that it will be because a cis person decided to murder me just because I'm trans. And you know, when I say you're not the default, it's important to realize that I'm not lowering you or devaluing you in any way. You might think that I am, but if I'm knocking you off any pedestal, it's only because society constructed that pedestal for you from the bodies of my fallen sisters and brothers and helped you climb up our corpses to set yourself there in a throne of false supremacy. I'm not lowering you from being in any way normal or even amazing. I am simply raising us to the same level because that is where we belong. Because I am a normal woman, a real woman, and a fucking amazing woman at that. We are all your equals in every way. If that frightens you or makes you insecure, then perhaps you just need to learn how to hate others less and love yourself more. And if you could only do that, love yourself more and hate others less, even when it's in ways you become so blind and accustomed to that you don't even recognize it as hate anymore, then maybe, just maybe, you'd be able to see why my frustration and anger with the transphobic society is not hate, but rather exhaustion with the status quo and a desire for change. And if every cis person could learn to do just that, to love themselves without having to put us down as being worth less, then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have all of the thousands of reasons I have right now to be so fucking angry to begin with. As always, thank you so very much for watching, and until next time, be yourself. Hey everyone! Thanks again so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw today, don't forget to hit that like button and share so your friends can enjoy it too. There's more where that came from, including activism and awareness videos, tutorials, you can follow my transition, and even check out some of my music. I also want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters because y'all make this channel possible. If you're not a patron yet and you want to find out how you could get awesome rewards like autographed pictures from my modeling shoots, just go to www.patreon.com/DeliaMelody to find out how you can sign up. See you next time and be yourself.